Now we will move to the next topic, and the second speaker of today is Manjushree Hegde. She is Assistant Professor of Spiritual Studies in Amrita Vidyapeetham, and she was a research fellow at Infinity Foundation India, got her master's in Sanskrit in 2016, and then she worked with variety of teachers. For example, she studied Advaita Vedanta under Aswartha Narayana Avadhani in Mattur, Karnataka, Vyakarana under Dr. Pushpa Dikshit in Bilaspur, and then she also studied Navya Nyaya, Purva Mimamsa and Sankhya under Professor Jha, as well as Sri Kantapalli. Before all this, she did her engineering BE from Bangalore, and she has made several presentations and she has publications as well. So let's listen to what she has to say. And can we roll the tape, please?
Om Sutra Bhashya Pranetaro Vedantabhya Prabhakaro Vande Parasparatmano Badarayana Shankaro. Namaste. At the very outset, I'd like to say that I'm very happy to be a part of this month-long festival, the global festival of oneness, celebrating the Jayanti of Bhagavat Shankara Acharya. Such a unique conception to bring together so many saints and scholars and public intellectuals. This pravaha of knowledge, such a fitting way to celebrate Shankara Jayanti. So my congratulations to the team of Advaita Academy. To be honest, I was wondering on what aspect of Shankaracharya to touch upon in this short talk, because rather like Brahman, that Shankaracharya himself says is both prasiddha and aprasiddha. Tat punar brahma prasiddham aprasiddham va syat. So it is that even Shankaracharya himself is both prasiddha and aprasiddha. He is popularly known, yes, but also not known at all. To be honest, we know very, very little about Shankaracharya. Literally next to nothing. Yes, there are many, many texts that have been written about him. I think you can count at least 30 different Shankara Vijayas written by different people at different periods of time. You have Anantanandagiriya Shankara Vijaya, the very famous Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya. You have the Chidvilasiya, the Vyasachaliya, the Keraliya Shankara Vijaya. You have Brihat Shankara Vijaya, you have Prachina Shankara Vijaya, Shankara Vijaya Churnika, you have Shankara Katha Sudhanidhi, you have Shankara Mandara Saurabha, Bhagavad Padabhyudayam. Then his name appears in different Puranas. You have the Linga Purana, the Vayu Purana, the Kurma Purana, Bhavishyotara, the Markandeya Samhita, Shivarahasya. The list is endless, each presenting its own version of Shankaracharya, his life and times. So the person, the personality and the life of Shankaracharya has taken epic proportions, or rather mythic proportions, which is as it should be. This is how hagiographies function. This is how we function. We do not bother with questions like, did this happen? Did this not? Is this true? Is this a fact? The quest for the historical Shankaracharya is primarily a Western obsession with the personality, the individual, which is inappropriate in our context, or as Ananda Kumara Swami would say, it is asvargya. There's a beautiful Kagga by DVG ರಾಮನಡಿಯಿಟ್ಟ ನೆಲ ಭೀಮನುಸುರಿದ ಗಾಳಿ ವ್ಯೋಮದೆ ಭಗೀರಥಂ ತಂದ ಸುರತಟಿನಿ ಸೋಮನಂ ಪೆತ್ತ ಕಡಲಿ ಪುರಾತನಗಳಿರೆ ನಾವೆಂತು ಪೊಸಬರೆರೋ ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. The idea, the very idea that this is the land that Rama walked on, that this is the air that Bhima breathed, that this is the waters of the Ganga that Bhagiratha brought down from the heavens. This idea makes this land, this air, this water sacred for us. What else is required? The rest is irrelevant, which is what applies here also. If all of these stories serve to remind us of Shankaracharya, if only for a moment, then the purpose stands served. So instead of dwelling upon his life as narrated in the different texts by different people, I'd like to take a look at Bhagavad Shankaracharya as he is seen in his own works. To be honest, he is credited with literally hundreds of works. The Italian Indologist, Mario Piantelli, he counted 433 works ascribed to him. That is 433. Of course, most of them are later works. The only works that are undoubtedly, authentically, absolutely Shankaracharya's are the Bhashya on the Prasthanatraya, the Gaudapada Karika Bhashya, and the Upadesha Sastri. This is it. And in none of these works does Shankaracharya give us any biographical clues, because personal identity is so completely insignificant to him. What is important is to belong to the correct teaching tradition and to pass on that understanding to the pupil in turn. So, in a very beautiful passage in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, when he is commenting upon the sutra, Anavishkurvan Anvayat, he talks about the childlike traits of the one who has realized the ultimate truth. He says that such a person will not make an ostentatious display of his understanding. He says in his words, Gudha dharma shrito vidvan ajnata charitam charit. Such a person, his actions will not be publicly known. He will follow or pursue dharma privately, quietly. Ajnata charitam charit. For me, this is Shankaracharya. I think he wished to pass through life or history unknown. So I think it is only fair that we let him be, that we abandon the quest for the historical Shankaracharya and instead turn to his works. His bhashyas are written in a very simple style. Shankaracharya's style of writing is so simple, so lucid, that anyone with a basic understanding of the language will be able to understand what it is that he is trying to say. Vedanta became as complicated as it did only in the later centuries, especially after the advent of Navyanyaya. But Shankaracharya's style is as simple can be. Was it Einstein who said, if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough? And actually, this is true of all the earlier texts. If you pick up a text like Mahabhashya, there cannot be a more profound work written in a more simplistic style than the Mahabhashya. It's only the later texts after about the 10th, 11th century that it became a web of complicated meta-linguistic innovations. So it is that you can wade through volumes of controversial jargon without coming across a single flash of deep insight or deeper flash of thought in any of these works. Besides the point, of course, Shankaracharya's style to cut the clutter, to get to the point, no digressions, no BS. Most evident in his magnificent prelude to the Brahma Sutra Bhashyas, when he does not even bother with the Mangalacharana. He simply starts Yushmadasmat Pratyaya Gocharayoho Vishaya Vishayanoho. If there was ever a best opening line in the history of world literature, then I don't think I'd be exaggerating if I said this was it. But his genius as a commentator is well known. So in the short time that we have, I thought I'd draw attention to a side of him that is not as well known. The teacher that he was. I think this is how he saw himself, as a revered teacher, the compassionate teacher. This role that he played, adopting different methods of teaching to help the student, the disciple, to realize the ultimate truth. Rather like Sri Krishna in the Gita, Krishna explains so compassionately and so patiently to Arjuna. And when Arjuna does not understand, Krishna will simply adopt a different angle. Maybe you'll understand if I say it like this. No, like this. No, like this. Different angles, different methods, different approaches to drive home the same point. Actually, this is what even the Upanishads do. But this is what I think that Shankaracharya primarily was, a teacher. This is most evident in the only independent work that he has authored, the Upadesha Sahasre. The title says it all, Upadesha Sahasre, 1,000 teachings. See, everything else that he has written is a commentary, either Shruti or Smriti, it's a commentary. So what he wants to say has to be fitted into what has already been said, barring the Adhyasa Bhashya, of course, which is an independent work. And to be honest, if every work of Shankaracharya was burnt down, except for the Adhyasa Bhashya. It is a tiny work, about 4-5 pages if printed on one of the A4 sheets. Very tiny work. But if only this work survived, then that would be enough. Because everything that he has to say has been said in those pages. But everything else, a commentary. So when Shankaracharya set out to say something entirely on his own, then he wrote something that reads like a manual for teachers. How to instruct disciples into the Atma Vidya. This is how his Upadesha Sahasri reads. So he'll say something like, the teacher must teach like this, Acharyo Bhuyat. Then if the student asks a question like this, so Yadi Prachet, then to him, the Acharya must reply like this, Tam Prati Bhuyat Acharya. This is how it reads. He describes what makes a good student, what makes a good teacher. So he's not talking only about the usual Shamadamadi. He talks about Acharyastu Uhapoha Grahana Dharana. He's saying that the Acharya must be able to furnish both pros and cons of an argument. He must be able to understand and remember the questions that is asked of him. Then the Acharya must question the student time and again to test what it is that he has understood. So Shankaracharya will say something like, Evam Shruti Smriti Rihi Grihita Paramatma Lakshanam Shishyam Samsara Sagarad Uttati Rishuhu Prachet Kastvamasi Saumyeti. After teaching the Lakshana of the Atman to the student, the Acharya must ask him, okay, now tell me, who are you? So this alternating between questioning and teaching open to the student's stage of development, allowing the student to work out the implications of his possessions, literally leading the student by his hand towards the ultimate truth until the student comes to a point where he says, oh, I see, the liberating cognition occurs. It's like the first words of Buddha when at his moment of enlightenment, he says, Gahakarka, Dittosi. Dittosi is Drishtosi, I see. It's the liberating cognition. So this is how the chapter will end, with the student saying, yes, I see. Om iti. It's a beautiful piece of work. Honestly, in my opinion, the only way to truly celebrate Shankara Jayanti would be to try and become a worthy student of his works, to pick up his work and read at least a few lines every day. I'd like to end with a line from one of the best students of Shankaracharya, Sureshwaracharya's works, the Naishkarmi Siddhi, where he says, Vishnoho Padanugamyam Nikhila Bhavanudam Shankaro Vapayogat. The way Shiva, that Shankara, holds the Ganga in his head, the Ganga that flows down from Vishnu's Pada, and he brings it down safely to earth. So it is that Shankaracharya, this Shankara, brings down that lofty Upanishadic thought to us for benefiting us all. My Koti Pranama to that great Acharya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manjushree, Professor Manjushree. Really appreciated it. And for tonight, that will be the end of the program. Tomorrow, we have 2 talks coming up. That is in India time. According to US time, this evening, we're going to have 2 talks. And the 2 talks which are going to happen are relevance of Shankara's philosophy in the modern world by Staneswar Timalasina, and that will be a live presentation, followed by Swami Chidananda answering and taking the topic, the fascinating question, to whom does the ignorance belong? That will also be a live lecture. I'm really looking forward to those sessions, and I hope you are too. Thank you very much for joining today, and you have a wonderful rest of the day. Namaste.